What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and thanks for joining me for what is going to be a full rundown of a lot of Essence products. I think we have 9 here to talk about today. Some CVS's around me have been renovating, specifically focusing on their beauty department, totally redoing it. One finished, and they are not messing around in beauty anymore. They have new brands stocked, they have more space for their existing brands, the lighting's totally different. It looks like, honestly, it's better merchandise than an Ulta. Kind of like if you've been in a Walgreens. It seems like they've stepped up to match Walgreens, which would make sense. And some of Walgreens updated, especially like their mega stores. If you've ever been in one of their superstores, it looks a lot like that. Honestly, almost a luxury shopping experience. So went into one of those and they happened to have a lot of Essence products, more than usual, and they were really well stocked and they were having a sale on some of them. So I picked some up and I wanted to do just about a full face of Essence products. So let's get into it. For starters, the foundation and concealer I'm wearing, not Essence, one of the very few products that aren't Essence, but I really like them and they are drugstore. The Revlon Colorstay Full Cover Foundation, mine is in the shade 210. And then the Milani Conceal and Perfect Longwear Concealer. These two really been loving lately. The foundation is more of a mousse-like texture, but I swear, drugstore formulas just keep getting better. I feel like you get more and better product for the money. And even though it says matte, normally in the past a matte mousse could have been like hit or miss. Is it going to look cakey if you way overdo it? Not at all with this guy. It glides on flawlessly. I find I don't need a lot to get my desired coverage, and it blends really beautifully. Doesn't dry down too cakey matte, you know what I mean? And so I've really been liking that. And then the Milani is a little bit more hydrating, which I find is especially complimentary in my under eye area. It's not like, Shape Tape kind of coverage, but it can be layered to be pretty full coverage. So these two have, and my shade is 125 Light Neutral in the Milani. So that's what I'm wearing on my face. Let's move on to the eyes. The eyeshadow that I picked up from Essence is the Good Day Sydney palette, and they have a few palettes in this format. They actually had quite a few eyeshadow palettes stocked in that CVS, and not all of them were in this long shaped rectangular sort of palette. This is just the color palette that stuck out to me. It's very natural, like nature-y feeling and kind of muted, but with some muted colors in there. I don't know. I'm not typically drawn to things, especially with the blues. Blues are not normally a color I wear, but I was just feeling it in here with the green and the bronze that doesn't feel too warm and can tend to lean a little bit, make me and my neutral skin tone look a little sickly. So I got this. It is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. First, I went in with the mid-tone. It looks like a matte, but it actually has some glittery shimmer in there. It's hard to describe the kind of finish. It's like a matte base with a little bit of sparkle in there, but that, it virtually acts as a matte. That is what I put in my crease. I darkened up my outer corner with the deepest brown shade in this palette, and then I used my finger to pat the green shade on the inner half of my lid, and then I went in with the darkest blue in this palette, and I applied that as kind of a liner. It doesn't act like a liner in terms of defining my eyes. It just kind of adds a pop of color. And I ran that along my upper lash line, really focusing it on the center of my top lid, as well as the inner corner of my lower lash line, just to add a little bit of interest to this look. Really use those blues, since those are the kind of standout shades in this palette. Overall, I really like the formula of these. I didn't pick a super colorful palette, so it is kind of hard to tell what the pigment might be like across other colorful shades in the Essence line, but the colorful shades in this palette perform really well. They're smooth, pigmented, no skipping with the mattes especially. I was especially impressed with the matte shades in here, and yeah, really no complaints about these shades. They were super easy to work with. I do wish there was more variation amongst these 3 cream shades. It feels a little bit of a waste to me to have 3 that look so similar. On the very end here, you have a matte kind of eggshell shade, then you have 2 shimmery shades, one slightly cooler, one slightly warmer, both hanging pretty close to neutral though, so when you actually wear them, there's not that much of a difference. I guess they do double as facial highlighter, like pretty good facial highlighter, so to the extent you wear one a lot because you wear it on both your eyes and your face, maybe it helps to double it up with 2, but as far as palettes go, you know me. I love a lot of variety with texture, with color, and I love a lot of contrast. So this, for the most part, gives it to me, but if I could change one thing, it would be 2 out of 3 of those shades. Now let's talk about the lashes. I actually have both a primer and a mascara. My mom also got this, and I forget if she got it because she knows she likes it or if she'd heard good things about it and wanted to try it. Either way, I got it as well. This is the Volume Booster Lash Primer, and to pair with that, I got the What the Fake Volumizing and Lengthening Mascara. I figured because this adds volume, I'd get a mascara that complements it with length, and I'm actually pretty pleased with the results. It does take a little bit for the primer to dry, but it does exactly what you'd want it to do. It builds the volume of the lash simply by adding product to it, and then when you go over top with the volumizing mascara, gives it a nice good coat of product without making it clump even further. I was a little nervous because this does say it volumizes as well, so I thought you can get into the major clump zone when you do that sometimes, but not with this. This also has nylon fibers in it, so it does help, in theory, add length to your lashes with those fibers as well. I don't really notice those helping as much, and I certainly don't actually detect the fibers in application, and I wear contacts, so I haven't noticed any problems with those getting in or irritating my eyes either. Really, I just notice how well it complements the volumizing mascara, and using the two together, I notice a difference. I've really been loving, where is it? My Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Lashes Volume 2 mascara, using it alone, and I do notice that using the two of these together does give my lashes extra volume and length compared to this. Yes, it's an extra step. If you're not into complicating your makeup routine, maybe you don't want to do that, but pretty sure the two of these is still far less than one of the Charlotte Tilbury for a better result. So that's not a bad thing. For my brows, I actually picked up 2 different brow products, but have not had a chance to use one. It's this ultra fine, it's called Micro Precise Eyebrow Pencil. It's very similar to the one I like to use from CoverGirl, and because it's so similar, I figured I would try the other Essence brow product instead, which is the eyebrow pen. This is one of those felt-tipped pens that has it's like a fork. It has 3 little tines or pointers on the end of it to kind of create that natural looking brow hair feel in your brows. The thing about this though, when I first started using it, product was coming off the ends really nicely. But by the time I got to the second brow, it had kind of gone dry around the edges. And so I noticed I was starting to have to use the flat side of it to really get the pigment to show up in my brows. To me, that kind of defeated the purpose of having these ultra precise little points at the end of it to create the brow hairs. But I feel like it roughly got the job done. It's a much more natural brow look than I typically go with, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's kind of nice to play around with. But as far as leaning on it and using it for the thing that it seemed like it was kind of designed to do, not so much. There wasn't quite enough liquid flow through the ends of it to really do it. And maybe it just means I need to take a break in between brows or shake it after each use or something like that. But as far as long-term use goes, I will probably stick to my pencils just because they are a little bit easier to use. They're easier to get those more individual, distinct-looking brow hair structures. Now starting with the rest of the face, Essence has some face palettes, which I have personally never seen from them, and so I was excited to try the Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder. I am pretty sure I have a Sun Club single bronzer of theirs, although I don't dare go looking for it now because the law of makeup says that when you need it, you won't find it. It will only appear the second you don't need it. So I'm almost positive I have this, the lightest shade here, in a single format of this, but here we have 4 shades. And part of the reason why I don't know where it is because I rarely reach for this because it's too light for me. So having a range of shades is helpful because I'm actually closer to a mixture of the lightest shade and the mid-tone shade here. The mid-tone is too dark for me alone, but a mixture of the two, perfect. This is actually a bronzer palette that covers a relatively wide range of skin tones. So often, first of all, there aren't a ton of bronzer palettes from the drugstore that I can think of. The only other one is the Physicians Formula. They've done some bronzer collections, but this just left me pleasantly surprised with the depth of the shade range as well as the formula. It's a really nice matte powder formula, and even though these aren't right for my skin tone to use on my face, they are great eyeshadow shades. So I think, even if only 1 or 2 of these shades is going to be good for your face, you can always use them elsewhere, i.e. your eyes. Then there are 2 highlighter palettes, and I got both because can you ever really glow too much? I don't think so. First is the Pure Nude Sunlighter palette. This, I'm mentioning them in no particular order, but this is what I happened to use first as I was doing my makeup today because these are highlighters with more of a pinky or even pigmented undertone. You can see there are peaches. This one even has like a dark peachy bronze. These are more champagne-y bronze, but they're just a little bit more colorful. So in my mind, when I picked this up, this was like a combination of highlighter and a blush overspray. So this one, I used a combination of these two peachy bronzy shades over here, and I applied that not on the apple of my cheeks, but like just behind them and on the way back on top of my blush, which I forgot to talk about. Oh my gosh. Pause, pump the brakes, let's talk about this blush. Here, I picked up a single from Essence. This is called The Blush. It is in the shade 40 Beloved, and it is totally matte, it's totally beautiful, and it's totally pretty subtle, honestly. It's, this particular shade, Beloved, is more like a mauve, a very soft mauve sort of blush. I do find that on my skin tone, I have to layer it up, so it's not gonna be suitable for a wide range of other skin tones, but when I was looking at the shades that they had, there were a lot of others that did run deeper, like deep apricots and bronzes. I don't think they had a deep pink because I think I would have picked something up that was a little bit more pigmented and bolder looking than this. But I do think that if you're worried about something like this not showing up on your skin tone, there are other more pigmented and deeper shades in this blush line, but I really like it. It's a nice matte blush, and matte blushes are nice in general because they give you a little bit more flexibility with the kind of glow you want on your cheeks. If you want to layer up like with a glowy blush overlay or a highlighter on top of it, you can, or you can go totally matte. Whereas with, you know, a shimmery highlighter blush, you don't have that kind of ability to. So that's a really nice drugstore blush formula. But back to this palette, I really like this. The shimmers are pretty finely milled. A few of these have what look like chunkier shimmers, but I find they all come out when you apply them to your cheeks. I mean, you can see it's a very high shine, but still a very satiny glow. There is no like a Natasha Denona, her crystalline sort of shade, you know what I mean? None of that chunky shimmer, if I can open this up, like this one over here, nothing at all like that. All of these are very satiny and have a lit from within sort of feel. Now, to compare to this, the other highlighter palette is called the Pure Nude. Oh, they're both called the Pure Nude. So this is the Pure Nude Sunlighter Reload palette, and then this one is the Highlighter Reload palette. And this is a pretty classic, you know, more of a yellows, goldens, champagne sort of palette. Although you do have this one in the corner that I'm wearing here today that actually has more of a pink. It's an iridescent pink undertone to it. But then for the most part, you have soft golden yellows and champagnes. So here they are side by side for a comparison so you can see. And both of the formulas are very comparable. None of them are chalky. You just get like pure shine and glow happening on your cheeks. It's just going to come down to what you want to use it for and which color scheme you think is going to flatter your skin and your undertone. And those are all the Essence products that I picked. Well, actually not really. I also picked up a pigmented lip gloss, but it was the first thing that I used and it has since disappeared into a purse or a coat pocket or something. I can't find it, don't know where it is. Really liked it though, but I don't have it here today to show you. Instead, I am wearing one of the relatively new Wet n Wild matte lipsticks I recently swatched here on the channel. This is the shade that I'm wearing today called Bear It All, but it looks balmy and glossy on me because I layered it over a Sarah Happ lip gloss. I'm always wearing it because my lips have been dry because it's winter, and so I kind of constantly keep it on my lips, especially before I get ready to film. It's just what I use to condition my lips as I'm getting the rest of my face ready. So I used that or had that on as sort of a primer, and then I put this over top, and it's just a really pretty color, but that gloss just made it more shiny, which explains the glow on my lips. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on the new things I picked up from Essence. Let me know if you've seen these CVSs around you, if yours have started renovating, if they're done, what you think of the new section, if you've tried any from the other brands. Let me know your thoughts, if you picked anything up, what you've tried, what you love. Tell us all in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.